isn't the end of the story, it's the elevation. Please welcome my guest, Denysee Kelly, to the show. Hey, sis!
Hey, thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for saying yes. I'm excited about this podcast. I don't think you realize how much I am excited about this podcast. My light just went out. I my light just went out. Can you see me?
I can see you. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have been anticipating this for quite some time, and this is the thing. You are doing some amazing things in this world, and I was so excited because you and I actually met at an event, and you were sharing all of this thing, all of your creative ideas with your handbags and your business. But before we get into that, I really want to know your why.
So I have a twofold why. So I have a personal why, and then I have a social reach why. So my personal why is I want to be able to provide for my family without financially without limiting myself to a 9 to 5, right? From 9 to 5, you can only get so much money, right? After 5, they stop paying you. So for the business, I'm like, I can do this. I can keep paying myself for as long as I want to pay myself, and I can elevate above that. So that's my personal why. And then, well, for my why, for me, and for my business. My social why is because I want to show other women of color what they have, what they're capable of, what's possible. I've looked at other women of color in entrepreneurship and see what they can do from where they came from. It's like I can do this too. I can be a not a role model, but a person who they can look up to, or the person who they can inspire, oh, I can do this too. So that's my second why, really helping. I want my business to help not just me, but other women of color.
Okay. So have you ever just wanted to? Because I know, considering going, you did all the right things. So you went to school, you got this degree, right? So business and finance, like most of us, the dream is to get the degree and you go into business and be this business person.
Yes.
Did you always see yourself, as an entrepreneur when you actually took that particular route?
So it's funny, I did not see myself as an entrepreneur. My mom raised me, and my family, my dad raised me to, go to school, get good grades, get a go to college, get a job, and stay in that, a good job with a company and stay in that job. And I was with the top 100 company when I came out of school, and have been there ever since. And that's how you live. And so I did not really have entrepreneurship in my mind. But as I ventured into this business, I went back and thought, I've always had it in my heart, because when I was in high school, I worked at Burger King. We work at the fast food places. When the day I turned 16, I went and got a job at Burger King, and I did that. But then my senior year, I didn't want to be at Burger King on the weekend. I wanted to be out with my friends. So I was like, okay, well, I still need to get some money some kind of way. So I ended up selling candy. I went to high school. We were kind of separated, and from the other high school, we were in a magnet school. And on that level, there were no vending machines. You had to go out downstairs all the way around. So I said, okay, there's a need here. My friends want candy. They want chips. I can go to Sam's. My mom took me to Sam's. I got the big bulk of M&Ms or Snicker bars or whatever it was, and sold it. And that's how I made money. So that was really my first adventure into entrepreneurship, but didn't even think about it until I started going through this process. I was like, this has been in my heart the whole time.
The whole time. And usually, and sometimes everybody's story is similar to that one, right? And it's one of those, I want freedom and the autonomy to do what I want. Because if you're doing Burger King, you realize, you know what, you telling me I got to clock in and clock out at a certain time. I still want to hang out with my friends. And
Right.
you're like, I got to shift my thought process, my mindset. Like, what else can I do to make money? That's usually how it starts. Like, okay, this ain't it. This,
This ain't it. Absolutely.
yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So what made okay? So at that point, when you said okay, you worked in finance and business for 25, the IT industry. uh,
Correct.
for 25 years. So when did you have that same shift that you had at 16 while you were working? When you said, did you just decide, I want to quit, or what shifted for you in that place where you said, I want to do something different?
So, as many other entrepreneurs, it really shifted during COVID, right?
Mhm.
I was blessed enough that I was able to keep my job, where I saw others that were not blessed enough to be able to keep their job, depending on what industry they were in. And I saw, okay, so I said to myself, if something happened to this job, what would I fall back on? What would I do? And listening to different podcasts. At the time, we know we were all in the house, we were not out anywhere, so I listened to podcasts, listened to books, and so forth. And the main thing they talked about was, you know find something that you are passionate about, that you already like, that you want to that you can monetize off of. And so I kind of had that mindset then. Is okay, I know, who knows what's going to happen in corporate America for the next, so many years. And um, I have a ways to go before I retire. Do I really want to stay in corporate America until I retire? And then after I retire, what's left after that? And so I said, okay, well, I like fashion. I really like making clothes. And that kind of evolved into the handmaking business. And I said, okay, well, let me see what I can do with this. I like doing this. This is fun. I can do this after five and be okay with it because I feel like, I'm okay. I'm happy about it. And that was that kind of metamorphosis from, corporate America, which I'm still in corporate America, but the plan is, you know, I'm not gonna be moving off of that before retirement age, right? Before another 10 years. I'm not doing another 10 years within corporate America.
So you didn't quit your job. You basically said, "Hey, my 9 to 5, I'm staying here, and this is going to be my investor for my business."
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. No, I haven't quit my job yet. So I'm still doing 9 to 5 and I'm still running on both ends. But I understand and know the value of what's going to be on the other side,
Yeah.
right? So it's helping me, it's fueling my fire.
Good. Well, you do know what they say, and I hope I do this justice with this quote because it's in my head when you said that. You know how they say, well, if you allow your company or your job to feed you, that you allow them to actually starve you. So a lot of people don't understand that if you only have that one source of income, that one stream of income, right? Because we're trying to find that multiple streams. And if it's up to them to open their doors or close them, so you're allowing them to feed you now, but if they decide to close their doors, you're also allowing them to starve you, right?
Exactly.
And that's also a biblical term. So you want to have multiple streams of income and not just put all of your eggs in that one basket.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's
So
exactly.
I wanted to know, and I don't know if I even asked, I did ask, but I don't think we went into depth. But I'm like, why? Because I'm all over the place. I'm excited. So you said fashion, right? But I
Hmm.
also noticed that you do the makeup thing, right? Were you doing makeup for a while or something like that?
Hmm.
And I the story that you were telling me when you and I met about how this came about. Share with me why handbags and why you felt like this was the lane for you.
So I was in makeup and I was in a network marketing area of network. And I like it. I love doing that. Um, but it wasn't unique. I wanted something unique. I wanted something to call my own, right? It was good and I was making money in it, but I wanted what I'm doing to make money to be more than just making money. I wanted it to have an impact. And so I sew clothes as well, and I have sewn clothes in the past for ladies. And I was telling my friend the other day that I really like how when I make clothes for women and they try the clothes on, how their face just glows, how they light up, how it makes them feel gorgeous and bold and passionate, and how they feel makes me feel the way I feel, right? When I see that. So, but sewing clothes for persons is not scalable.
Mhm.
I've always been a very crafty person. I can look at something and do some crafts. I got that from my mom. So at one time I was making purses. I saw a tutorial and I was making purses to go along with some of the outfits that I was sewing. I was
Hmm.
like, hey. I don't have to, I can't sew for everybody, but I can make a handbag for everybody who wants one. And
Hmm.
so that adventure turned, and so I can still release my creativity, my fashion sense, my, you know, spark or boldness or passion through the handbags. So that's how I got into the handbags.
So you use made it make an impact. How do you feel like your brand and your handbags are actually making an impact for other women?
So that again, this is twofold. So I think it's making an impact one with the statement handbags because making them feel confident when they carry it, just like clothing, just like accessories. It's making the person who's carrying it feel confident, feel bold, feel beautiful, feel passionate. So it's making an impact to those women that way. I know how I feel, and I'm sure how other many women feel when they carry something and someone says, "Oh, girl, that bag is cute." You're like, "Thank you, girl. I like it." Coming
Bags,
from
yes.
Right, right. So that's how I'm making that impact. Now I'm also on the other side of it, I'm also employing women at a local nonprofit here in Houston. They have trained women who are don't can traditionally hold a 9 to 5 due to cultural reasons or religious reasons. They don't have a 9 to 5, but they want to have a job or they want to have money just like I did when I was selling candy. They wanted to have some money. So they trained them how to sew on the industrial sewing machines, use the embroidery machines, use the heat press. It's local here, and that company, that nonprofit, employs those women to sew for local small businesses. So
Hmm.
I hand make my bags and I design my bags, but I'm also in partnership with them that if there's a design that's really, the women really like, I go to them, I say, okay, my women like this design. Can you make this design, 20 more of them or whatever the case may be? Because my bags are a small batch. And I employ them that way. So it's impacting those women's lives through giving them a way of making money when they traditionally probably couldn't make money at a traditional 9 to 5.
And that is what I was like when you were telling me that before. That was the part of the story that I fell in love with because I I don't know, something in me just said, "Oh my God, yes, this is
Yes,
something I can back up. I love what you're doing because you are giving opportunity to other women. So twofold, you're giving them opportunity to make money, but they also work with you because they can see what's possible for themselves. And
exactly.
when we do that as entrepreneurs, it's again that's the impact part. That's the piece that says, you know what, this is just not about myself. This is about the women that I'm bringing along with me, even though they're not directly with you, but it's
Hmm.
allowing them to elevate and to gain that independence because they may not have gotten it based off of the hardships of what life brings right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I really like that, and I'm like, "Look, y'all go get these bags, Nola and Eve," because I'm looking, I'm like, "We gonna have to meet," because I'm like, "Are you in a shop or you?" Because I know you're here in Houston, I'm in Houston,
Yeah.
because I really want to support you. I love what you're doing because the cause is there, and as a woman, I love accessories. I love a good handbag.
Right. Right.
You know what
Right.
I mean? The
Right.
belt and the earrings. It's about the accessory of the outfit. And when I was looking up at, looking at your website, very unique, very to the personality, right? Because I
Yes.
like, you have the empowerment. If you're in the organization, you have the, your delta, all
Yes.
of these things that, personalize your handbags. And that's what I like about your brand.
Thank you. I don't have a brick and mortar. Don't have a shop.
Okay.
It's all online. And I go to vendor events. So I try to post the vendor events that I go to. So if someone's in the area, they want, they can come to the vendor event. Or if you call me, I have my business number online or send me a message. I am more than willing to meet up with someone if they want to look at and see what the designs are. I also do custom handbags, right? So you have an event that you want to go to, and you need a bag that says something or it wants to go with a certain outfit, I'm willing to do that as well. So yes.
So the customized bags, is it because I I just let me how can I say this tastefully?
Uh-oh. Okay.
Because I know when you do, and that's the first thing people think, like, is it something that I can afford, or your bag's affordable for the everyday person, or is it, a very specific price point?
So that's I'm glad you asked that question because that's also one of my I believe my selling points. I have nice quality luxury handbags at an affordable price. My bags range from 115, they can go up to 300 depending on what you want to add on to it. But my average bags that are already made are from 115 to 135, right? So they are affordable. They're luxury, they're affordable. They're not you're not gonna spend $1,000 on one of these handbags. So yes,
Okay.
they are. Mm-hmm.
I need one that say clarity. Give me a cute little patch on it. Just like we're gonna talk.
Okay, no problem. No problem.
I was like, oh, I saw you had a cute green. And I was like, okay, we're gonna have to get. So
Yes.
tell me, like, right now you're doing handbags, and I know you just stated that you may do pop-ups and things like that.
Mhm.
So what's next regarding? Are you actually looking for a brick and mortar? You strictly staying online? Like, what is next for your brand?
So I don't want to do the brick and mortar. At least that's not in my vision as of yet. But what I am going to do next is twofold. Well, it's going to be wholesale, right? So it's going to be two ways of doing wholesale. One is I want to expand to other markets. I want to expand to Atlanta, Dallas, New York, and LA, right? So I want to expand to those markets through a wholesale. But the immediate steps that I'm going to take is going to the local Houston boutiques and going wholesale that way. So, since I don't have a brick and mortar, I can always tell, oh, well, you can, visit XYZ boutique and I have some bags that are in there. So I'm doing online, I'm doing the vendors, and then the third stream for my business is doing wholesale within the small boutiques here in Houston, or even large boutiques. It doesn't have to be small
Yes,
here
I
in
like
Houston.
it. I like it. So I'm gonna shift just for 1 second.
Okay.
So how did you know? Because you used the word elevation in your in the introduction in your bio. How did you know that this was what God has called you to? What
Mhm.
was and how did you gain the clarity to know that, hey, this is the lane I want to take and stick with?
So I can say that he gave me the vision. I went with it. There were some stumbling blocks. I stopped, tried some other things. Those other things did not work. Came back to it. He said, okay. He gave me some steps. There was some more stumbling blocks. I said, okay, is this what I'm really want to do? And then it was just like things were just falling into place one after another. You right? So I was like, okay, that's God speaking to me. If I just listen to him and if I just pursue press on through those stumbling blocks, I had to realize that those stumbling blocks were not stumbling blocks at all. They were lessons that he wanted me to learn so that when I came across it again, I knew how to pivot or I knew how to take the right path. And so I can say for the past at least 12 to 9 months working with this on this business, I mean, things have been lining up for me, right? Not to say that there hasn't been any pitfalls. Of course there have, and I've had to overcome it. But things have been lining up. He's been bringing people into my life and that's going you for as a matter of fact that is going to assist and help with what with my vision. So I mean I think it's that's another thing I said. I think it's a spiritual, you have to be spiritually open for this. I've tried a couple of different things. Like you said, the makeup. I was doing some jewelry at one time, but this has what has been has lined up for me, and all the pieces have been kind of falling into place. So
So did you do what most of us do? Because when you said stop, you start this thing, you stop that thing. So when you actually say, hey, okay, the handbags is what I'm gonna stick with, or was it like, okay, you ran into a stumbling block and you was like, you know what, maybe this not gonna work because maybe I'm having such a hard time with trying to get this off the ground, and you put it down and you're like, it just came back to you again.
it did.
Yeah.
It did. It came back to me. I mean, things came back. I put it down and then it just came back. It almost slapped me back in the face. Like,
Yeah.
girl, what are you doing? This is what I gave you. He's telling me I gave you the talent. I gave you the, I gave
Yes.
you the talent. You know how to do this. You have the education. I keep putting things in your path, like, and it's so crazy because we get these ads and stuff on Facebook. I keep showing you all these free webinars and everything that you can take. What are you doing?
What else do you need?
Right, right, right. What else can I do for you? What else?
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
here. So, I mean, this is where I am now, and I have resolved to make this is going to work because this is what he gave me, right?
Yeah, it's going to work because it's going to work. And I love that you said that. That's why I asked the question, because sometimes we start something and we feel like we didn't discern the right thing at the time. Because sometimes we can start ahead of him, or we get ahead of what God is actually planning. Because if you get ahead, the person or the people or the things that are supposed to be in place are not there quite yet.
Right,
And so we have to make sure that we have to take a step back sometimes so we can listen, we can be clear on what it is that God wants us to do. He's positioning us right just for the thing, so that when the door opens, you walk right into it with no problems, and everything just fits and it just feels good and it's just right, and you're not trying to force anything.
exactly.
And that's the part that I actually identify too. Is like, okay, I haven't actually gotten to the mountaintop yet, but I definitely know that coming out of a season and what coming out of a season feels like. And
Mhm.
I also know what it feels like to still be in the wilderness a little bit, when he says, yeah, you're not quite ready for this thing yet. Still
Right,
sit in it,
right,
because I'm still working on some things. Yeah.
right,
And I
right.
think a lot of women, I think a lot of entrepreneurs have a hard time identifying that part, because we just want it now. We wanted everything to work even when we can't see how it's going to work. We just, you know what I mean? So
Yeah,
if there's
yeah,
something that we still have to work through, and so like when you said, I put it down, I've done it multiple times,
yeah,
because it's like all of the businesses and all of the things. But when I sat down and I fast and I talked to God, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna surrender this thing.
right.
And I
Yep.
need you to do
Absolutely.
it. And that's when he said, okay, now you're ready to listen.
Yep.
So tell me, because you said 12 to 9 months. So is this fairly new for you, or you've been doing this for a while?
So, it's fairly new. The level that I am with it now is
Mhm.
it's fairly new, right? It's one of those things where I am invested in this and this only. I don't have my hand in that and my hand in this and a hand in that number two and this number two, right? I am settling on, and I have a family that says you do everything, and I was like, there's like, how do you do it? And I came to realize I wasn't doing it. I wasn't doing everything because when you have your hand in too many pots, one thing doesn't get your full attention.
Mhm.
So I've had the business, the name, and all of that for a while. So since probably end of 2020, early 21, right? Like I said, I had it and I put it down. So I've had that for a while. But the investment that I'm putting into it now, and only it, started about 12 to 9 months ago. I started getting ready for holiday season last year, right? You started a couple of months early for holiday season last year. So maybe like so maybe it hasn't been 12 months because it's only been since like July of last year. So
Okay.
what's that? 6 months, 7 months.
Almost. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, 7 months that I really have been, putting my all into it and investing into it and so forth. So that's where I am, but I'm in it now.
Yes,
And
girl.
I'm loving it though. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. And I can tell you this, I am not a morning person. I am not a morning person. I am a night person. But since this has happened, I have been able to get up in the
Mm.
morning to work. I still have a 9 to 5 to work so that I can make sure that at the end of the day, I have time left to instill into my business. After I'm done with my corporate job, I still have time to instill into my business. And I go to bed, not late, but kind of late, but I still will wake up in the morning so that I can make sure I get these things done. So, I know that too. That's a matter of fact. I might sit sometime I'll get up and I'll lay there and I'm like, okay, what can I do? What can I do? And it's all about Nola and Eve. I said, okay, before you start thinking about Nola and Eve, let's go get this job done, get this ready, and then write all those things out for Nola and Eve, and then you go for that. So
That's how you know that you are aligned. That part right there. That
Mhm.
part right there, because usually if you're tired, you like, you know what, God, we're gonna. I need a nap. I need to make sure I get my extra 30 minutes. Can I get one more hour? Yeah, but you're like, you know
Yeah.
what? Boom! I got to get to make this work.
Yeah.
I like the name Nola and Eve.
Yes.
Where did that come from?
So, my fashion sense comes from my lineage, right? Came down from my grandmothers to my aunt on on my paternal side and through my mom. So Nola and Eve are paying homage to my grandmothers. My mother's name is Enola, and
Hmm.
what was Enola, and my father's mother's name was Genevieve. Now, my father's mother passed away before I was born. However, through the stories that my aunts have told me, and even from the fashion sense that my aunt has passed down, that she's told me she got from her mother, I was like, okay, this is instilled in me. This fashion sense is instilled in me. And I also know that, and I didn't learn how to sew until later in life. I didn't learn how to sew until probably about 10, 11 years ago. And so, and I got a tutorial, started sewing. I was like, oh, I like this. This is good. And my aunt said, you got that from your grandmother. I said, oh, she's like, yeah, she knew how to sew very well. You got that from her. So I got that. And then my mother's mother, I grew up with, and I saw her fashion sense. So Nola and Eve comes from Enola and Genevieve.
Girl, the seed has been planted. You know what God says. You know, seed is in you already. That is awesome. Oh, so all of this is making sense now. It really does. Yes, it really, really does. Even if in the choosing of the degree that you have.
Hmm.
Yes. So
Yes.
business and finance is going to allow you to, when this takes off and he places you where you need to be, you know how to handle your business. You're going to know how to handle your finances. God is going to put the right people in place to make sure that you can actually grow it. And then the creativity that you have
Yep.
because of what has been placed in you since day one. I
Absolutely.
love that.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes. I love the inheritance of a good fashion sense, an inheritance
Yes.
of the
Yes.
talent. Yes, the talents and the skills. Yes, I love that. You're making this way too easy. Okay, good. So how does before I do that,
Hmm.
if there's a woman that is actually listening to us right now that
Hmm.
is saying, you know what, I have all of the things that she has, I'm doing all of the things, or I want to do it, but I don't know where to start, or even find the confidence to do the thing that you are doing, what would you say to her?
So, one of the things that reasons why I kept stopping is because I thought that I was never ready.
Mm.
And if it's a God-given talent or a God-given vision, if you just step out there, he's gonna make the path straight for you, right? Yeah, there are gonna be some bumps, but he's gonna give you the tools and the resources to overcome those bumps. So my advice to someone who says, okay, I have this talent and I know that, the women want it, or I know that any audience wants it, just start somewhere. You're never going to be lined up where everything is going to fall in place. Just start somewhere. Start somewhere and open your mouth. That's one of the things that I didn't do as well. Start somewhere and open your mouth and tell anybody who's willing to listen what, not necessarily what your um ambition is or your goal is, because you don't want to say state it to too many people, because sometimes they don't take it the right way, or they give you feedback that you're not asking for. Oh, you can't do that, or you can't do that. Don't do that. But if you have whatever that service or product is, I have XYZ, and this is going to do whatever the case, whatever it's gonna problem it's gonna solve. Do you need it? And if you don't need it, do you know somebody else that needs it? And just open your mouth.
Yes.
Just open your
Because if
mouth.
you can't promote your own thing, nobody else will.
Nobody else will. And they won't know you have it. Especially
Yeah.
if it's a service, they won't know you have it, or they won't know you have a handbag. Point in case, I was at a vendor event. this past weekend, and I have a good friend who's been a friend of mine forever. She's in the same chapter as I am. And she was at the event and she came out and she talked about the bags. And I mentioned to someone that I make them. She's like, "You make these?" I said, "Yes." "You hand make these?" I mean, I know her. "You hand make these?" "Yes." "Denise, I had no idea that you hand make these bags. I knew that you had the company, I knew that you had the business, but I had no idea that you hand make the bags. You need to say that. You need to open your mouth and say that." So even at the point that I am at right now, I'm still having learning lessons about what to do. I mean, I speak about the bags and how I think they're beautiful. So I talk about how beautiful they are,
Right.
but I hadn't said to those people that I'm closest to that I hand make the bags. So open your mouth. No one's gonna know unless you tell them.
Yes. Yes. So, and it's yes.
They're not.
Find the push, find that thing that drives you, because when you get sick and tired of being sick and tired, you're going to find that confidence, you're going to find that, you know what, that willpower that you need to get through it, because
Mhm,
everybody goes through that. So as an entrepreneur in the beginning, yeah, you feel like sometimes you may have that, what they call imposter syndrome,
mhm,
or you think somebody else is doing it better or they're ahead of you. But this is a thing, we all go through things first so the person behind us can be inspired to do it next. People don't
mhm.
understand that. Even when it comes down to
Right,
trauma and the things that we go through, the hardships, and what the young people say, when life get the life in, you have to understand the things that we go through, and the reason why we have to tell our story and the things that we go through is because somebody behind us is going through it now, or someone
mhm,
is going to go through it. So that way you'll see that it's possible. Nola and Eve is something that is being built right now for the next person to say, you know what, I can do it. She said she's still working her 9 to 5. She said it wasn't easy. She still pushed through. Yes, she had to put it down, but guess what? It wouldn't leave her because God placed that seed in her. So she had to go back and pick it up and just make it work until it does work.
right.
Right?
Absolutely.
So, and then on top of that, you came from good soil because grandma gave you the skill set when you didn't even realize that you had the skill set, right?
Mhm.
So all of those things. How can the listeners find you? How can they order your bags if they want to support and all of those good things?
So you can find me. I have a website. It's Nola and Eve, NOLAANDEVE.com. So that's my website. You can also find some of my new coming upcoming designs on my Instagram, and that's shop Nola and Eve. So it's ShopNolaAndEve. And then I have Nola and Eve on Facebook as well. So that's where you can find me.
I will put all of this information in the show notes. And when I say I am ordering a bag, we're going to sit and talk about this because I'm
Yes,
like,
ma'am.
I definitely am going to make sure that I support you because I believe in what you're doing. I'm a girl's girl and I
Yeah.
love bags.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you would like to share before we wrap up?
I just think that, as I said before, if you believe you can do it and it's in your heart and you have your God-given talent, use it, use it, use it. Oh, that's one thing I also want to share is I believe that women, especially women of color, are entitled to more than what a 9 to 5 can give us, right? So on a personal level, I wanted to do this to make money, to give me opportunities, to give my family opportunities. Every woman out there deserves the same thing. You all deserve what you see out there. Do not limit yourself to, oh, this is all what my life is going to be, or this is all that ever going to strive to. Don't limit yourself. You have the talents, you have the God-given ability to take that to the next level. So that's the main thing I want to leave those women.
Take it to the next level. And as we say, take it to elevation. Hey, that is good. Thank you so much for saying yes. And this has been another great episode of Elevate to Clarity. Remember, all things are possible, but clarity makes it elevate. And I will see you at the top. Take care.